So Samsung has already spaffed out its S-series flagships for the year, and next up is the more affordable but still surprisingly bloody good A-series handsets. Headlined by this here colourful wee beauty, the Samsung Galaxy A53 5G. Boasting improved camera tech, beefier performance and a handful of other upgrades versus the older A52 series handsets, the A53 looks like one of the best mid-range mobiles coming up in 2022. And frankly a much more enticing offering than that there iPhone SE unless you really heavily dig the extreme retro nostalgia vibes. The Samsung A53 5G will cost you 399 quid here in the UK and it is hitting stores soon. I'm shooting this video ahead of the official launch, but hopefully by the time this video hits your peepers, I'll have an actual release date, so I'll bang that down in the video description down below. But anyway, here's my full Samsung Galaxy A53 hands-on review, and for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do plug subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Now first up, the design doesn't really look too different to last year's A52 and A52s, but the Galaxy A53 is slightly skinnier than those older models, though at 6.5 inches it is still a proper handful and a half, even with those lovely slender bezels. It weighs in at just 189 grams, which ain't too bad at all for a big old 6.5 incher, and thanks to the pleasingly curvy corners and edges, it is a comfortable clutch. You've got a choice of 4 colours here, and once again Samsung has been super modest with its naming conventions, going with awesome black, awesome white, awesome blue and awesome peach. The blue and peach are definitely my personal favourites because I just love a bit of colour on my smartphones. They're quite subtle though with their shades, they're not full on in your face like brrrr. And yeah, I wouldn't say I exactly dropped to my knees in awe at the sight of them, but they are rather lovely. Rather lovely peach doesn't have quite the same ring though, I guess. That back end is once again constructed from plastic with a matte finish so it doesn't get all smudgy and disgusting even when you're sweating up a storm under some pretty fierce spotlights. And you've got Gorilla Glass 5 up front to help keep scratches at bay. Should hopefully do the job nicely, and you've also got full IP67 water and dust resistance as well, so no worries if you accidentally drop the A53 5G in a bathtub, in the sink, whatever, it should survive absolutely fine. So let's move on to the software side, and this Sammy blower once again serves up that Android 12 and OneUI 4.1 experience, the same as those wallet-draining S-series flagships. This includes all the Sammy apps we know and love, such as Health and SmartThings, plus all of my favourite bonus Sammy bits like Byyyeeeee routines. Samsung's Knox security suite is once again on hand to protect your privates, where you've got an in-display optical fingerprint sensor and face recognition as well, so you don't have to go through the laborious motions of poking in a pin every time. Storage is set at 128 gigs, pretty generous, that's double the amount you'll get in the iPhone SE 2022. And yes, glory be, there is micro SD support as well. Cards up to 1 terabyte in size can be slipped inside of the Galaxy A53 5G to expand that storage. Now, Samsung's A-series blowers usually don't disappoint when it comes to the display tech, and I was pleased to see another stunning Super AMOLED screen shoved onto the Galaxy A53. This 6.5 inch panel offers up the same Full HD Plus resolution as the previous generation, so visuals are bold and crisp with the option of tweaking the tones so they're either super vivid or a bit more subdued. And once again, that Infinity O sphincter only intrudes a little bit on the action when you go full screen, as it is impressively dinky. Brightness tops off at 800 nits now, and even under those red hot lights I was not bothered by reflections. And once again, this mighty screen peaks at a 120Hz refresh rate as well, so it's a smooth operator whether you're skimming through OneUI or whatever else. The Galaxy A53's stereo speaker setup is again impressive for this price point. It certainly seems louder than before, that's for sure, where you've got all the usual features packed in there, including Dolby Atmos support. But is there a headphone jack? Sadly not here on the A53 as well, so that is a bit of a disappointment. Now, the Galaxy A53 is powered by Samsung's fresh new 5nm Exynos 1280 chipset, and Samsung has promised a massive leap in GPU performance versus the previous generation. Now, it's something I haven't been able to test out, unfortunately, in my hands-on session with this Galaxy blower, but certainly when I get my review unit in, I will be raking it across the coals with a solid bit of Genshin Impact action. And yes, the 1280 comes packing a 5G modem as well, so yes, you've got 5G support as suggested by the 5G bit of the name, Samsung Galaxy A53 5G. Samsung has also upgraded the battery here versus the older A52 and the A52s with a 5000 mAh capacity cell now crammed inside, so you can expect all-day play, especially if the 1280 proves as energy efficient as other Exynos SoCs. And this does support 25-watt wired charging, a bit lethargic compared with some of the competition, and I don't actually think you get a 25-watt adapter bundled in the box either, though obviously I'll have to wait for my actual retail box to confirm that for sure. And no, there's no wireless charging support here either, but that's a pretty rare feature for under 400 quid anyway. Now finally, the camera tech, and it is a respectable mid-range setup on the A53 5G, headed up by a 64 meg primary shooter with built-in optical image stabilization. You also have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide angle lens, while the last two are your basic depth and macro efforts. That UI will be very familiar to any Samsung fans out there, densely packed with tools and toggles, while Samsung has chucked bloody loads of bonus modes on here as usual. So for instance, you've got that advanced portrait mode with a bit of scalable bokeh action, you've got a dedicated night mode, you've got that excellent single take mode, which as always is a godsend if you've got kids or pets and you can't make your mind up on whether to shoot photos, videos, portrait snaps, whatever else. And yes, there is unfortunately the usual AR bollocks if you really want to demean yourself and your family members. Just kill it with fire. As for your video chops, well, I'm expecting good results out of the A53. You can shoot up to 4K resolution footage at 30 frames per second, or keep it at full HD res at either 30 or 60 FPS. And then last up front in that sphincter cutout is a 32 megapixel selfie snapper, which should prove a good one for your Instagram needs. So that in a nutshell is the fresh new Samsung Galaxy A53 5G mid-range mobile. And yeah, it's not a massive evolution over the A52s 5G, which I reviewed last year, but you know what? That's absolutely fine because that's still one of the best mid-range mobiles right now. You've got a massive bloody battery in there, looks like a fantastic screen, certainly could get well on board with enjoying a good bit of Netflix, YouTube and all that shenanigans on there. The camera tech, as long as Samsung hasn't spunked that one up the wall, then should prove very good for your everyday pics and home movies. So yeah, definitely, if you want a solid all-round smartphone for around 400 quid, this looks like it could be a good option. But of course, I'm going to reserve all judgment until I finally get my mitts on the retail model and give it a full-on testing out, using it as my full-time smartphone for around a week or so. So stay tuned for that review. If you don't want to miss that out, then definitely poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Let me know your early thoughts so far in the comments below as well. Any questions or anything you've got for that in-depth review. And have yourselves a bloody wonderful rest of the week. Cheers everyone. Love you.